Hello and welcome to another Spotlight video. Today I'm here with my old pal Joe Higgin. I was thinking about it on the way in. You're the oldest tattooer in London right now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy because I feel so young.
Yep.
So
you'd be the resident old timer. So when you started, what was it like to tattoo with stone needles?
yeah, I mean, I had to park my pet dinosaur out front, and Vic wanted me to wash his, and I wasn't doing that, so I had to take care of my own dinosaur.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Joe's been in tattooing quite a while. He was taught by little Vic, and so how did all that transpire? Getting an apprenticeship with little Vic.
Yeah, it's an interesting story to me, but gladly share it. I just got back from school in Winnipeg, and I was born and raised here. So to go to high school in Winnipeg and to come back, I was coming back.
Yeah.
And I was living with a fellow, Kingsley, at the time, and he was getting tattooed, and he called me. I had a car. So he called me and he said, "Hey, you want to come down here and pick me up?" Because we were going out that night. We had some arrangements and we were going to go out and have a good time. And I went to pick up Kingsley, and I met Vic at that time picking him up. And he said, "Your friend Kingsley here says you're quite the artist and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what Kingsley's talking about. I just got back from school. I don't even know what I'm doing." And he's like, "Yeah, well, if you're any kind of artist, you'd have a portfolio." And I'm like, "It's in the car." So, you know, right away, Vic was kind of aggressive, kind of carny-minded biker style thing, and I pulled his bluff right away. So he told me to go get my portfolio, and I said, "Oh man, I'll show you another time." He's like, "No, go get it." And he started an argument. Let's end the argument. So I went and got the portfolio. Well, the next thing I know, he's offering me a job as an apprentice, and I'm like, "Hey man, like I don't even know what I'm doing, so I don't even know." So I sat with it for a little while, and I did go down to Blue Dragon to visit, to see if this man that was offering me a position was blowing smoke or really had something. And Frank at that time had told me about some guy. I don't know if you've heard about him, but his name's Mike Austin.
No, never.
No, yeah. Yeah. But he was there, and I think he'd been there for, at the time, I want to say 89. So I'm thinking he's been there about a year and a half. And then Frank had said at that time that they were going to fully invest in Mike Austin, and I'm so glad they did. My drawings were good, and I should pursue it. So I went back to Vic and said, "I'll take the job." Meanwhile, I didn't know Vic was upset that I didn't take the job immediately. He got quite bent. He rode me, like my whole 5-year apprenticeship. He's like, "I can't believe you almost missed this opportunity because you're stupid." You know, just stuff like that, right?
Sure.
But that's how it all started. And I did 5 years with Vic. Yeah.
And that was in '89.
I started in March of '89.
March of '89.
Yeah.
And then what year did you put the needle to skin for the first time?
3 years full apprenticeship without touching skin.
Okay.
And I tell you, I was like insanely ready. And I told Vic I was ready.
Yeah.
And Vic told me I wasn't ready. Well, I mean, he was wrong.
But three years in the shop.
Yeah.
Before you put a needle to the skin.
Yeah. So I kind of did a thing where I went into the shop after hours and I tattooed myself.
Okay.
And that, at the time, I mean, that's almost a death wish. I mean, at the time, it's.
Yeah.
You break into the shop that you're working into. I didn't go there to clean or do my duties as an apprentice. I went there to tattoo myself.
Sure, yeah.
And I was hobbling along the next day, and Vic's like, "Did you get a tattoo?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I kind of choked and said I did. And he said, "Well, let me see it." So I pulled down my drawers and showed him the tattoo, and he says, "Oh, that's awesome." So I had to bit the bullet and tell him, "I told you I was ready." And he's like, "Are you?" So we had a little argument. We almost got to fists.
Yeah.
Because he was really mad.
Sure, yeah.
But from that moment on, he's like, "You're on the books. We're making money, and let's because the whole idea for him to train me was to work with him and to help him.
Yeah.
And any shop that I've worked for, it's all about the owner of the shop. It's about the clients. But when I work for somebody, they get my best. So
sure, yeah. So that was '92 then.
That
you touched down.
Yeah.
Now, prior to going to Little Vic's,
and I just want to add, my first tattoo was on Kingsley.
Okay.
So it worked out. These little nuances and stories go along the way, but Kingsley got the first piece because he's part of the the beginning of it all. So sorry to interrupt you, Ed.
Yeah, no worries. Now, prior to going to Little Vixen, it was Finesse Tattoo.
Yeah.
When he was in London.
FTW.
Okay.
Finesse Tattoo Works.
Finesse Tattoo Works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different translation of that, the acronym.
So prior to going to Little Vixen, getting offered an apprenticeship was at the time, that would have been such an opportunity thrown in your lap.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
But prior to that, did you have an interest in doing tattoos, or had it crossed your mind?
No, but I knew I liked them because my uncles had them.
Yeah.
Like, I knew they were cool. I knew I always wanted one, but no more stock into it than that. It's like, oh, one day maybe I'll get a tattoo, but I never, it took about 6 months of my apprenticeship and the fever kicked in. Yeah. Like, I realized even at that youthful age, I had an opportunity here. Funny thing, Vic said to me, I'm going to teach you one thing that's going to give you everything.
Yeah.
And I think about that quite often because it's very, very true.
Sure,
like, the whole thing was set because of that, so.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how big of an opportunity it was. I was young and dumb, and, now I'm old and dumb.
You and me both.
Yeah.
So in London at the time when you started, it would have only been a handful of tattooers to be you guys.
Sure, we could all sit at one table at the coffee shop.
Blue Dragon and
Al Newcomb. Yeah, and Reverend Gene and Sailor Fred.
That's right.
And I don't really remember anybody else at the time.
Yeah.
That was like had a shop open or was public, like on a street shop or whatever.
Did you have much interaction with the old timers?
I did.
Yeah.
I purposefully interacted with people. I went down to Blue Dragon and I talked to Darren a few times. I tried to talk to Mike a few times because now I had an apprenticeship and he had an apprenticeship, and I was trying to, and I think I did it because Vic told me I wasn't allowed to.
Okay.
So,
that's interesting because Frank was trying to keep Mike sheltered too, right?
Yeah.
He didn't want him looking out anywhere.
Yeah, Frank's mentality on some things were like, if you're not with us, you're against us. And I think Vic had the very same state of mind. These guys all come from the same time.
Yeah.
They may come from different places, but the mentality is roughly the same, I've discovered anyways, right?
Sure, yeah.
So there was like an unspoken rivalry that they were the best in town, and I don't know what that ego is about. I just wanted to do the best I could do, but they wanted to be the best. So there was that challenge at the time to walk that fine line where, well, they're actually going to be my friends. So when I'm done my apprenticeship, I will definitely be talking to these guys much more. I went down and I met them all. I talked to them all. Newcomb was older.
Yeah.
But like we would, because his shop was in his house.
That's right.
So we went there, and I mean, just seeing the nostalgic, like just the old style flash at that time that was old was just, it's just crazy,
Yeah. And Al Newcomb's got quite a story. Yeah. I interviewed Lynn, his
oh yeah,
captured his story and then gathered some stories from Mike, because Mike Austin was pretty good friends with him.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories about Al Newcomb was he went down to Toronto and went up to Toronto, I guess, from Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
And he got a tattoo from Beachcomber Bill.
Really?
So he got a big eagle across his chest.
Yeah.
Now, he drove there, got the tattoo, came home, looked in the mirror, and wasn't satisfied with the tattoo.
Really?
So in a mirror that evening, he fixed, to his estimation, he fixed his own tattoo, looking in a mirror.
That's crazy.
Now, how tough would that guy have been?
Oh, dude, I would no. That's not.
I got a tattoo from Mike on my chest, and I was crying like a little
sure.
schoolgirl.
I'm sure,
like a baby.
I'm sure, and it's not anything against Mike, but the chest is tender touchies. Yeah. Right in the middle too, eh?
Oh yeah. So, any good stories about Al Newcomb?
No, just that, like, I don't know. He always liked to talk about the ladies, and he always he was. I never got a lot of time with him, but when I spent time with him, I wanted to talk tattoos, and Al didn't want to talk about tattoos at all.
Okay.
It just seemed that way. You know, I think he might have felt like I was picking his brain, because I was picking his brain. So it was just like,
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, how do you make needles? Like, we still, I still have the stuff and can still craft needles today. It's just absolutely insane.
That's right. And what about Gene Dishman and Sailor Fred?
Well, those guys were, they were interesting because those two fellas and Vic were like vocal, like angry and disliked each other a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it was Canada's best or Canada's number one or again,
Canada's number
this
one
big
tattoo.
cockfight, right? Like, it's just insane. The ego is just nuts.
Yeah.
But Vic a couple of times was like, we got to go down there and sort those boys out. And I'm like, what does that mean? Well, you know, he wanted to give him a talking to, not really a beating per se, but...
Sure, yeah.
And every time we got down there, everybody's laughing and shaking hands. And like, I don't... It's this crazy atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, this persona they were presenting for people, which wasn't even there. Mm-hmm. You know, I actually think they genuinely liked each other, to be honest with you. But it was often stuff. But Gene and Fred had this knack for, like, showing other people's work and claiming it for themselves. So I think they did it on purpose, just to have people come down to the shop and talk to them. And
sure, yeah.
like, it's funny how as I get older, I rethink things, and I'm like, maybe they had a different motive. I don't know. I wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
I was just responding whatever Vic wanted.
Did you know I worked for Gene?
I think you told me that.
Yeah. When I was working for Gene Dishman, Sailor Fred was in the front of the shop. And man, if I could turn back time and just...
Did you ever see Vic and I come in there?
No.
Or was this a different time?
No, this would have been in 93. Because I was still in my first year of tattooing.
Oh,
and,
right. Is that where you broke ground?
Yeah, 93.
No,
No, I was self-taught at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
But no, I landed a job at his shop, and within a month I quit.
But that was your first tattoo? Yeah. That sounds like I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah. No, and yeah, it was such a... I wish I could turn back time and talk to Sailor Fred. The thing about Sailor Fred, he's just such an egregious character, and you didn't know what he was going to do next.
Just off the charts.
Right.
Like so, yeah.
But and everybody...
They played good cop, bad cop really well. Like, there was certain time. It was mostly Fred that did a lot of the complaining.
Yeah. Sure.
But Gene, you know, he was kind of... I don't know. I found him really unique.
Yeah.
Both of them. Like characters.
They
like
were characters.
They were definitely characters.
And the funny thing was is that as I traveled across Canada interviewing some of the older tattooers, a lot of people talked about Sailor Fred.
That's this, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People would complain about him and groan, but it was so funny because what I found the irony is that everybody was talking about him.
Yeah.
Even Paul Jeffries was talking about Sailor Fred or Yukon Jim when I was in to see him.
The haters are important.
So going back to your career, what's the highlight reel of your apprenticeship? How did that play out for you? It was 3 years long. You must have some good stories.
Well, I mean, they were Cinderella stories. I mean, for the first 3 years, I cleaned and I scrubbed and I did all the needles. And back then we were mixing pigments, so I was trying to figure out, like, not a better formula, but I found, like, Vic's ink's a little thick, and there are just certain things that I was self-determining as I was going along. And, I mean, he made me wait 3 years, man. So by the time I picked up a machine, I already knew how to ride the bike before I got on the bike. Like, it was like I was so ready. And I even tattooed myself to prove that to him.
Yeah.
But the next 2 years is where all the stories really, really happened. Because the first 3 years was like, I would say the first year, it was like, I didn't know if I wanted to tattoo, and Vic didn't know if I was the guy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're going to clean, you're going to answer the phone, you're going to be here on time, you're going to understand the regimen of the life cycle of a tattoo artist. And, you know, because somebody would walk very, very often at that time, and everything was walk-in at that time. We didn't have the internet at the time. Well, we had the internet, but we didn't have computers and the internet in our houses. Yeah. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, you know, so you were relying on the public to come in. Mm-hmm. So it was just work, like just a lot of work. Mm-hmm. But in hindsight, I mean, I failed more times than people have tried. Yeah. So like when it came time to do tattoos, it had played out 1,000,000 times before it even happened. So there's nothing, I don't have anything negative to say other than that. Like, he was hard, man. He was hard. Like, he wouldn't hesitate to crack you.
Yeah.
You know, he only tried that once with me, but I mean, he was that mindset, right?
Sure,
like, it's just a different mentality. But the stories all came from, like, once I started tattooing, because Vic and I went to Toronto.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Vic was up to, but he was like, grab your shoes, we're fucking going out for a road trip. And road trips with Vic are always, like, nerve-wracking but exciting at the same time, because you didn't know if we were going to punch somebody out or if we were going to give him a hug. He never let... But anyways, we get to Toronto, and I meet a fellow named Bill Baker.
Okay.
And I also meet Roland Harsh and all these people. And once the connection started kicking in, all the stories come from there. My first job, actually outside of my apprenticeship, was in Windsor for World of Tattoos, Chuck Davio. I don't, forgive me if I bastardized that. I don't.
Yeah.
He was he was busy at the time, and I went to keep a shop open, and that's where I made, like, the connections to the people that I ended up now knowing for 30, 35 years, right?
Yeah.
My first apprentice came from that instant there, so pretty quick.
What was the shop name in Windsor?
World of Tattoos.
World of Tattoos.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I was interviewing someone, and they used to have, they were tattooing in Windsor, and there used to be rave parties in the shop at night.
That wasn't me.
Okay.
Was this? This isn't Ed the Head, or is this?
No, it wasn't him. But it was someone I interviewed not that long ago.
Huh.
Maybe like 4 or 5 months ago.
I bet you when you go through all these videos, you make a lot of connections, and you'll see the...
Yeah.
I almost picture like a board with pins on it, and you're like, look at how these people are connected.
I know,
it's
right?
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Now, Sailor Fred was originally from Windsor, the Windsor area, from what I understand.
Yeah. It's funny, because the 2 years that I spent in Windsor, I never looked at London or never came back. And then all of a sudden, Chuck got out of jail and came back, and he was like... He was really mean.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Vic was mean.
Okay.
Chuck was another level of mean.
Sure, yeah.
And, you know, any accusations or any falsified things that guys are going to think of when they're in jail or whatever, he came out just guns a-blazing for everybody around him. Like, you did this and you wouldn't, you know. I'm like, going back to London. So my first shop was Joker's Wild, which I opened up in Vic's, in the Finesse Tattoos location because... I don't know, just because.
Yeah.
You know, and I went from there.
I came across some of your old flash when you were with Finesse Tattoo.
Really?
And I was when I was looking at the flash, I was really blown away because if I go back to that time period when you drew those, like that was like top-notch artistry back then.
Really?
So,
where did you see my stuff? If you don't mind. Sorry to put it to you.
I'm not sure if
like, was it in Ontario, or was it?
I think it was Casey Davis.
In Calgary?
Yeah, I think he might have had some that I photographed.
So as that went on, I met Paul Jeffries and his wife at the time and all that stuff. And, like, I could tell Vic's work had a strong Paul Jeffries influence. And I asked Vic about that. And I don't know if it's true or not, but Vic said he spent some time with Paul Jeffries.
He was tattooed by him.
Heavily tattooed by him.
Yeah.
But Vic also, like, said... Paul might have taught him some stuff or anything, but I couldn't verify that through Roland or whatever. And half the nonsense Vic said was nonsense, just to keep you thinking. It's not necessarily that he was a liar, but he just kept you on your toes, right? Always guessing, right?
Well, I just interviewed Vince Wishart, and that little Vic was his uncle.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Somebody might be able to verify if Vic spent any time under Jeffrey's toolage or not, or maybe he was just around at the shop so much because. Vic's sleeves were pretty heavily Paul Jeffries. Paul's work is, I love it. I just love it. My eyes love it. My brain loves it. When I see his stuff, I'm just like, yeah stuff like that.
To our generation of tattooers, we look back at these certain individuals like Jeffries and the Dutchman and Austin and
the Dutchman is just, like, you know, Greg Irons.
They raised the bar so much, and Mike and I were talking about this in our interview. They raised a bar for all of us to reach higher. And, you know,
there's always like that standard. And then there's these guys. And they just draw differently. They just do things differently, but they're in the same industry.
Yeah.
And it made me, these people, if you will, really inspired me that you can do anything. Just do what you do. Follow, mind your own. Something really important Vic taught me too was like, just worry about the tattoos you do. And I found out through the years that as I saw people struggle about, clients going elsewhere, somebody touching their work, don't touch my work, or whatever they are. That was a good one. Yeah. That was a really good one. Just worry about the ones you do. Yeah. Really helped.
So if you look across your career, Joe, what would be some of your most favorite moments in tattooing?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, Ned, doing the charity stuff with you is absolutely one of the pinnacle. Like, when we do the mental health stuff, I don't know if people know this or not. They probably do. I'm just assuming. But like, there's never been anything in tattooing, all the conventions, all the girlfriends, nothing hits like those when we raise money for mental health.
Yeah.
When I'm in a room with 12 other artists raising like thousands of dollars, like you must have raised millions by now. It's got to be.
I've probably raised about $750,000 through my charitable tattooing.
Yeah. But there's a vibe. And I don't know if people get it that come out to participate or the clients that get it, but there's just something I feel. And I'm high for 3 days after one of those events. Like my heart's so centered. I'm so connected. I mean, you do the drumming and you do, like, there's other things that go on behind the scenes and in the scenes, but those events are the best.
Yeah.
Like that is like, we deserve this. This is where we should be. This is what we should be doing. This is us doing, the work of many, right?
I feel like the charity tattoo events is we're at the end of an era.
Sure.
With that.
Sure.
But it's been interesting. It's been such a great ride to raise a bunch of charity dollars
and awareness
through tattooing
and the connections.
Because tattooing, there's just something magic and special about what we do.
Yeah.
And, sometimes when I interview tattoo artists, they talk about the old days and the magic, but the magic's still here.
Absolutely, yeah.
The magic is when the client walks in the door and the needle hits the skin, and that time between you and your client is really, there's been no magic lost in that.
You're absolutely right. And I think that's something that propels me way more years than, I'm looking at 35 years now, and I'm not even remotely thinking of being done.
Yeah.
Like, I've got so much to do. And for me, I worked all the shops. I've landed myself at a few places, and I've also started off some pretty heavy hitters too that came out of it.
Yeah.
Sean Strauss and Al Hartshorn, just to name a few, and Steve Cole. I got to give a shout to Steve Cole, who's in BC, who was my first apprentice, and we just talked the other day. Like, all these connections, but like, that's behind the scenes, and that's my life. But every tattoo is focused on the client. It's all about that time. Because I remember going to get tattooed even in my apprenticeship, and even though I was in the industry, I remember every sit. I remember when I went and got tattooed by Suzanne Fauser in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Jack Rudy was sitting there pestering. Like, by the time the tattoo was done, I'm like, what the fuck is your problem, guy? And he's like, nice to meet you, I'm Jack Rudy. I'm like, you're who?
Yeah.
Because from, again, reading the magazines, and
we took a little trip down memory lane several months back. You pulled out all your business cards and some of your old artwork, and
I've got a lot of stuff.
One of the things that I didn't know is that you illustrated the cover for Panther Products Tattoo Supply. Yeah. I remember when I first started, Panther Products was the first place I got equipment.
Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne Wilton.
Wilton, yeah.
The equipment wasn't that great, but it was a start. And I remember seeing that image that you had drawn, not knowing that you drew that until just recently that you were the artist
you just
behind
put that. Okay. It was published insanely enough. Like, that's another thing too. Like, I had a little bit of a buzz off that too, right? Like, every time I'd go buy the newest, I don't want to get in trouble, but Skin and Ink or whatever magazine was coming out, and I'd flip through and I'm like, there's Panther Products in Canada, representing Canada, and this ad that I drew. I don't even like the ad anymore, but I often, I don't know how to say it, but I often don't like what I draw. until it's done.
That's the artist's infliction.
It is. I think it is. And
chasing the next piece.
Yeah. And I tend to keep that to myself because I've never experienced artist block or anything like that. I was never taught such a thing.
Yeah. Well, it's been such a pleasure knowing you, Joe. Like I think we met in 93, 94. I think it was 93. Like
it would have been right after my 3 years of torture.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been such a
kept me under the stairs for 3 years.
Long, enduring friendship.
Yeah.
So I've always appreciated it. It's really cool now that you're the oldest in London.
It so blows my mind.
Unless somebody comes back.
Well, it's going to be a good run for the record because I'm far from finished. So.
And a message to some of the younger tattooers in the area: drop by. Joe takes a regular coffee with milk, and drop by and buy the guy a coffee. He's the resident senior.
Yeah, and for those young ones out there, I do talk to all of them, no matter what they. No matter what they say.
No, and I hope that through these books that I'm publishing about tattooing, that we start to understand and learn about each other. We find more common ground than reasons to bicker and argue, and at the end of the day, we're all family. What family is not dysfunctional?
Yeah, well, I mean that's what it is. You don't get to pick them, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not saying there's anyone disconnected or anything off like that, but it seems different than when we had it.
Yeah.
I mean, but times do change and things go on. What I want from people, all people that are tattooing, is to do the best they can do.
Yeah.
Put your best foot forward, and if you're not feeling it, don't go into work that day. Just you're only human.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, but any of the pettiness or anything, I just disregard because it's just nonsense, right? It's only like in the moment, and I remember when I was 20 years old and cocky and wanting to take on the world, and I wanted to be the best, and it didn't take too long for me to clue in that I just wanted to be the best that I could be.
Yeah.
So I hope that's what they're doing, and it's not for profit or any other marginal interest, but just because they want to do tattoos. And
I love where tattooing has gone today. Like the skill set and the quality that the younger generations are putting out.
I saw a piece yesterday.
So inspiring.
I saw a piece yesterday on my client from this young girl down the street. That, I'm on a street that has 6 shops, and I'm busy every day. I think everybody's busy every day. But there's a young lady at the shop down the street, and I saw a piece that she did yesterday on the guy I was working on. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Like I even looked at it and I'm like, how? The texture, like just things I've never seen here. And it's just like, I love where this is going because we do tend to, I think we're kind of critics in our own mind. We're critical of ourselves. And when we look at work, we're like, I'm curious on how they got that technique down or whatever. Like just the background on this tattoo was so soft. Yeah. And it's got to have something to do with something I don't know. But again, I stick to my coils. I do have the pens and all the other stuff, but I just know what I know.
That's right. And I often think about what was it like for Baldwin and Snow, and Curly Allen, some of these guys that were before our teachers' generation. And what was it like for them when there was a new changing of the guard? When Paul Jeffries showed up, started cranking out amazing work, and all these other amazing tattooers, what was it like for the really old guys? Were they intimidated? Were they...
And it was taboo at the time too, right? So they didn't have a lot of people supporting them.
Yeah. Were they scared? Were they inspired? I know for me, like when I look at... Because we're sort of in that pivotal time now where we're getting to be... We're soon to be the old-timers of tattooing.
Yeah.
And it's... But I look out and I see such amazing work, and I'm inspired.
I'm inspired too.
And it's... I haven't been this inspired in a long time.
Yeah, it's nice, like... The internets and all the websites and the news feed on whatever socials you use, and it's nice to get all this inundation because, I mean, for me, it was nice to go to the store and buy the latest magazine, sit down at the coffee shop and smoke a cigarette and go through the magazine and get inspired. Now, inspiration's coming at our face all the time, constantly, especially if, like, I've got 4,000 friends and 3,900 of them tattoo. So that tells you, and that's all across the world in Canada. But the stuff is just great. I
Yeah.
love it. I love where tattooing's going.
Yeah.
I love where it's gone. But you got to know where it came from. You have to.
Absolutely.
Or at least you don't, but I do. I
Yeah.
need to know where it came from. I need to know, and just to have just to be a small grain of salt in the sugar bowl is quite nice.
Sure, yeah.
It's nice. Tattooing's been very, very good to me. It's been
Well,
very good.
Joe, thank you so much for coming on to do one of these spotlight
Buddy.
videos with me. I appreciate you. This is Joker Joe.
Yeah,
Joe Higgin.
one of my best friends.
The Inkery Tattoo in London. So thanks everybody for taking a few minutes to watch and listen to Joe and I natter on.
We could do it for hours.
I'm sure we have.
We have.
Yeah, many times. Hope everyone's having a great day. Take care.
Take care.